Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome to the show. We are so excited to have our next guest joining us, Kary Valdes from Nashville, Tennessee. We're talking about Parent Talk with Kary. And yeah, that's the name of the company and the website. We'll get to that in just a sec. She's a psychotherapist that specializes in the mental health treatment of children and adolescents, also helping parents with the kids, right? So first and foremost, I want to say welcome to the show. Pleasure to meet you today.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to meet you too.
Well, thank you so much. How do we get started to contact you? If you don't mind sharing your website or contact information before we begin.
So the easiest way is probably through my website, which is parenttalkwithkary.com. And Kary is spelled just like Mary, but with a K. So you can easily find me. And then you can always email, right? And it's Kary Valdes, LCSW @gmail.com.
Beautiful. Well, before we talk more about the work you're doing as a psychotherapist and helping so many families out there, I'd like to find out a little more about you. I know you're a mom. I want to hear about that, but let's dive in a little further. Let's go back to where you were born and raised, and I want to know how you got interested into this career.
So I actually grew up in New Orleans, right? I was born and raised, went to grad school there, the whole bit. And I was one of those kids that knew in high school what I wanted to do. Like I knew I wanted to do psychotherapy. As I continued in high school, I actually knew that I wanted to work with children and families. So one of my best friends that I met first day, freshman year, history class at Dominican High School in New Orleans. Her mother was actually in the master's program in social work at Tulane in New Orleans. And she was my mentor. Wow. I basically just did whatever Miss Brenda said I should do.
Of course.
And kind of knew early. And I feel like it's unusual for me to have this knowing at such a young age. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like, I also think why I've been able to stay in the field for so long. Like I've been doing this for over 25 years. And I think part of the reason is that it's just part of kind of who I am and what I was supposed to do. Like that's kind of why I'm here. So what I think about and the way I guess I function in the world is more as a therapist and helping kids and families is just kind of innately, I think, wired in who I am.
Beautiful. I love it. And then I was also reading on your website, and I urge people to do the same. Again, it's Parent Talk with Kary, Kary, that you say that all parents worry about their children, right? And it happens. But then those worries sometimes become too prevalent to dismiss, and it's time to take that action. So you're here helping so many children and their parents. And I know you understand as a mom, you know, how difficult this is. Would you mind just telling us a little bit about your family?
Yeah, so I have two boys. Now I have one that's a senior at the University of South Florida in Tampa.
Oh, my goodness.
And I have a sophomore that's at Arizona State in Tempe, Arizona. So they're far, which was part of the goal, right? Like I was the mom that's like, okay, we're doing all this. We're going to college, but you need to leave my bubble. Like there is no turning off this mom. If they were too close to me, I would be bribing them with laundry to do lunch. I would be bribing hours to go see them if I could get that close to them.
Yep.
I knew in order for me to separate, I need them to be a little further away. Now, did they have to go that far? Not necessarily. This is what they chose and where they wanted to be. And it's actually worked out great. So now it's like celebrities now when they come home. When my son calls or FaceTime, we're like jumping over furniture to answer the call or to get on FaceTime with the boys. So but when they were little, we kind of grew up in a smaller town. Like we grew up in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Right. So it is suburbia of Nashville. We're like 13 miles east of the city. Right.
What town is it? What is it called?
Mount Juliet.
Oh, that's beautiful. There's a lake there, right?
Yes. We're the city between the lakes. There's 2 lakes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just trying to figure out where you are. I was in Davidson County. I just told her before the show I used to have a condo down there in downtown Nashville, but I have friends who live in Belmead and Franklin, so I'm familiar with the area. Beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. So they were basically the guinea pigs for me for all of the parenting stuff that I had to do, all the learning, all the websites and all the trainings that I went to, because I started working with children and families before I even had my own kids, right? So I had to figure this out without being a parent to start. And then once I had my own children, I was like, okay, let's try this. Let's see how this works.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they kind of had this guinea pig experience with their mom trying new parenting techniques with them and to see what worked and didn't work. And it makes me feel good. The goal, right, is that we raise our children. And I know you have little ones, right?
7 and 9. Yep.
That we raise the kids that they can launch into adulthood. That when we send them off to college, right, whatever their continuing education is going to be after high school, whatever it is, that they can manage life, right? That they can handle whatever it is that happens to them because they have been prepared, right? These first 18 years that they got this, right? They don't have to come home from college because they can't handle the independence or the anxiety or just the reality of what real life is like, right?
Yep.
So, my approach to parenting has always been more of okay, how does this reflect real life?
Yep.
Right? How are they going to be able to manage the hardship that happens in real life all the time? So that was the approach I have with my children. It's also the approach I had in therapy and when I work with parents.
Can I ask though, as a mom, was it there times where it was difficult for you? I feel like I want to pull my hair out most days, sweetheart. As a single mom and doing homework and going to the sports and doing it all, is it okay? Like I feel like one of my sons a little defiant, but is that normal? The teacher says he's fine and he's great, and for everyone else he's good, but sometimes with mama he's a little difficult. Is that normal?
Yes. Well, and you think about the age of your kids right now, you're kind of in the trench, right? We're in it. Yeah. Well, let me take that off. The trench is newborn babies. That's
okay. Yeah.
Right? Because this is when we're sleep deprived and everything is harder with sleep deprivation. But as they continue to grow, we're kind of like day by day it grew. You know what I mean? Like we have the crisis at night before bedtime because everybody's tired, right? Then there's the issue of getting up in the morning because, again, people can be tired or too wired. And then there's the normal, just defiant, which is when you look at him, you're just like, you're so cute. You know, like you are so naughty and so cute. And that was a good try.
Yeah.
And sometimes the defiance is also, like they're trying to figure it out. It's also like a sign of intelligence, right? How can they manipulate you? How can they manipulate the world around them to get what they want? Right? Are they good at it or do they need to keep working on it? So defiance of itself is not a bad thing because they're supposed to be kids, right?
Wow.
And the more mistakes that they make when they're younger, the better it is because they learn the lessons faster. Like, growing up, like your mom and dad can tell you all the things that you shouldn't do, but you didn't learn the lesson until you did it and had the consequences.
Yep.
Right?
For sure.
So we learn lessons faster when we make mistakes. So encouraging and allowing kids to make mistakes is great because then they get to learn these lessons. And it wasn't you like this. You shouldn't do that. And don't forget this. And you're going to get hurt. And you know what I mean? They get to go, oh, I should probably not do that again. That hurt.
Yep.
Right? Or I should not say that because now people are mad at me. Right? Or I should not, hit my brother because now I don't have anybody to play with.
Wow. It's true. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm excited to talk to you here as a psychotherapist to find out, there's also this mental health stigma, which I feel like it's becoming more popular to talk about. I think since the pandemic, I feel so much anxiety, depression. There's a lot that people are going through, and especially our kiddos. And you offer so much with therapy and EMDR and speaking. So I'm not sure where you want to start about your services, but I know you are excited to talk about, parenting. You're helping us parent. and work with kids of all ages. So some who've seen bad things happen, and, you want to help families have more fun. So where did you want to kind of start about the work you're doing and, how, you're helping people, Kary?
I actually really like what you just said in that there's a lot of stigma about mental health stuff still. And that's hard. I just went to a conference last week. Wait, what day is today? Oh, yeah, it was last week.
Wait, what is it? Yeah.
What day is it? And it was fantastic. And just kind of that grounding space for me of mental health is still quite stigmatized. Like people still poo-poo the conversation of mental health.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most important things as parents is for us to recognize when this is outside of us. When you're kind of like, okay, I don't even know what to do now. Like, I'm truly stumped, and being humble enough to go, let's see if we just talk to somebody. Like, maybe it's just us, like as parents, maybe this is a me thing that I can figure out. And then the whole family system changes, right? Because I can do a better job with parenting, not necessarily because you need to do your own therapy. You might, I'm not saying that's not the case, but with parenting, it's amazing how much the whole family system can change when the parents are doing a better job, when they're on the same page, when they're agreeing, right? So being humble enough to recognize, okay, this mental health is not as much a stigma anymore, and reaching out when you need it, as well as helping kids. Like, if you know something bad has happened in your family or to your children, reaching out when they're little is the best thing you can do for them, right? Because therapy with little kids is, as a therapist, it's fantastic. Like, I have a great job because I get to play with children.
Yeah.
I play, we run around the office. We play games, we do yoga, we do all kinds of things, right? So I can get to express their feelings and in their body and understanding what's going on with them. When you know something bad's happened, right? Like, I had to move, there was a tragedy, there was abuse, there was something that you already know, like they got burned, they broke their arm. You know what I mean? Someone is sick, right? Dad's sick, mom is sick, death, all these things. This has happened to you, and you as a parent are feeling this, and you are feeling the upset and the sad. They feel it too. Yeah. Right? Kids aren't missing any emotion.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't born missing any of them.
Yeah.
They have all of the same emotions that adults have, and the least amount of tools to manage them.
It's so true.
Right? So if it's happened in your family and you can acknowledge that, it's so much better to process and handle it when they're little, because then they don't carry this stuff with them for years, right? They don't have to bring it into adulthood. They can deal with whatever it was in childhood and then be free to just be a kid and not have to worry about whatever it was that had happened in the family or to them.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking a lot. Am I talking?
No, that's what you're supposed to do. You're used to be on the other side, right? You're having everyone talk. I'm learning about you, and I hope our listeners are too. I think it's great. We're in our own therapy session here. I'm just joking. I'm joking. But, it's amazing because let me ask, I just have a question about kids and adolescents now in general, because I'm sure that a lot has changed since you were a child and vice versa. And what I'm finding, I'm like an open book with my kids, and I try to tell them everything. Even my kids are 7 and 9, and we've had conversations about, what sex is. I remember when we were little, that wasn't talked about till like high school. It was different. But I feel like more parents are, being more open with their kids. Is that good? Is that bad? Do you have any recommendations on that?
I think being open with kids is always good. Like, lying to children is never a good thing.
No.
Like, in general, like, the way I think of it is, we just don't lie. Like, you don't lie, I don't lie. As parents, we shouldn't lie. Now, there are some things that they don't need all of the information.
All the details, yes. But
right, because developmentally, they might not understand it. And they're not ready for it, right? They actually can't conceptually understand it, or they don't know what to do with the information because it's just too advanced for them and their thinking, right? But in general, we include kids and stuff, right? We include them in conversations and when bad stuff is happening. It just needs to be in a way that they understand, right? So, for example, like death.
Yeah.
Death happens all the time. Grandparents die, pets die. Usually kids' first exposure to death is of a pet.
Yeah.
Right? Any kind of pet, a goldfish, a hamster, a cat, a dog, whatever it is, this is their first experience with that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great opportunity. Like I tell parents all the time, this is a great opportunity for kids to experience that. There's no way around it. We all have to go through it. But parents get to role model. What do we do? What do we do with death? This is a really sad thing for the family, right? And we've had that experience in my family, right?
So have I. Mm-hmm.
We cry. We talk about them. We figure out ways to honor them. We don't run away from it. You know, even when family members, when their great-grandfather died, right? The boys had say in that. Like, you know, what do you guys think? Should we leave? Because he was in hospice, right? Dying. And we had to travel and they were missing school and we were missing work. And I asked the boys separately, and I got to tell you, they were pretty young, maybe like 10 and 8, like somewhere like pretty young. And I asked them, what do y'all think? Like, should we go? And I asked them separately on purpose because I didn't want either one to influence the other child. And they both said to me, no, we're staying. And I'm like, okay, why should we stay? And they're like, because we need to be here for Grandpa, right? We need to be here for him. So they stayed, not for their great-grandfather who was dying. They stayed for their grandpa. And
it's so beautiful. Oh.
I was like, I looked at my husband and I was just like, guess we're staying. I'm like, we'll figure it out. And he's died shortly after. He stayed for the services. And they were just really present and not afraid of the death and understanding of what's going on. And you would be shocked at how supportive kids are. Like not that they should be your support. Hear me when I say that. Your children are not your support system, right? Mm-hmm. We're not going to use them as support. But when sad stuff happens like this, they are so comforting. And it's so genuine and it's so kind to have kids and it's so natural. It's such a part of life, right? But it is their first exposure and we are honest with them about what's going on. So that was a long, drawn-out way to answer.
No, it's beautiful, though, how you're right. It's about, talking to them in a level they can understand. And, you're the expert here, but I so get it. We had a death of our cat last year. One took it so hard. Other one was okay. And another recent death of a cat. And that same one took it so hard. But you talk about the beauty, about life, and about it does teach them so much. And I prefer, being open. I think we started off by me asking about our children, what should we tell our kids and what should we not? And I always think honesty is the best policy, but I like that you also express, you have to be careful how you talk about it in a sense and approach it with them because they understand differently than us. You're the expert. So can I ask you about the types of, therapy you provide for children? People come to you for their kids with what sort of, I don't want to say the word problems, abilities, I should say, right? Or, what type of things, are you helping kids with? If someone out there is listening today, and is it in the area of Nashville? Is it only in person? Or do you do virtual work as well, out of state?
So the areas that I work with kids, it's lots of anxiety. Kids have a lot of anxiety, right? So the biggest, I'd say if I put it all in a group, it would be anxiety. Right? Because even when bad things happen, the result of the bad thing is anxiety, right? And depression. Those are still, and you could probably ask any therapist that sees adults too, what's the biggest thing? And they're going to say anxiety. Right? Even in littles, you would be surprised at how anxious little kids can be, right? And remember, they have no way to manage it. They have the least amount of tools to manage their feelings, right? I do some online stuff with kids, not littles though. I learned during COVID that children just walk away. They just leave the computer. They're like, okay, I'm done. And they just walk away. And I'm like, hello, is anybody there? So my littles, I do need to see in person.
Mm-hmm.
I do offer, if you know that there was a trauma, I do offer the option that I've had parents fly in town, or they'll drive in town. They'll spend like 3 days, and we'll do more sessions. Like I'll do 2 hours, 3 days in a row with those kiddos if we know that there's trauma. And usually that actually gets us to a real good place, right? Where they can then go home and still be all right, right? But this is now that's specific for trauma therapy. That's for EMDR.
Got it. And what does that stand for again?
Eye movement desensitization reprocessing.
Okay, thank you.
I know, big words, right?
Yes.
So I can do more adolescents on Zoom or online, right? That tends to work. And then the parenting part, which is best, is that I always can do that online, right? Even the parents that are local, we can, because then we can do it at like parents' lunchtime. You know what I mean? The schedule is a lot more flexible when I can do it online with parents and parenting stuff online. And a lot of times that's where we start, is we start with parenting stuff and we see how that changes or helps the family. And then we might go to an identified person that might need more assistance. But a lot of, especially the younger the child, a lot of times the parenting part is all that needs to happen. We just need to tweak the parenting a little bit and the kids are okay.
Got it.
Right? So, but yeah, littles need to come to me. The parenting stuff can be all online. And then with the adolescents, with my bigger kids, we only do online after we have a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's really important for them to know me and like me in order for therapy to really be productive and effective.
Got it. It has to be a good fit.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Well, we are almost out of time. We have just 2 minutes left on the clock, and I know there's so much more to talk about. You offer courses, speaking engagements, again, the parenting, the therapy. What else would you like our viewers and listeners to know about you for today? Since, again, it is our first show, Parent Talk with Kary here. She's talking to us live based out of Nashville, Tennessee, and the website, parenttalkwithkary, Kary.com. She's a psychotherapist specializing in mental health treatment of children, adolescents, as well as parents.
Yes. I would just love the parenting part. I'm writing a book, currently writing a book.
What?
This
is huge.
Title,
tell us.
The current title is Your Child Came with This Manual. I don't know that. Because, parents always say, well, they don't come with a manual. And I'm like, oh, I'll give them a manual.
Yep.
I'll make it. Right? So working on that, love the whole parenting part of it, because I feel like I can reach more children when I do parenting stuff than one child at a time, right? I love working with one child at a time. But when I think of it, I'm like, I can reach more kids when I can do more parenting stuff. Yeah. So if that is a great start for people, then I would love to be helpful.
Ah, I love it. Well, thank you so much. And you offer, is it a free 30-minute session or?
Yeah, the consult, just to kind of figure out, is this what we're doing? Like, is this where we're starting? Is it this? Because a lot of times they call about their kiddos or let's start with this, and just kind of figuring out what we need to do.
Got it.
Is usually what the first 30 minutes is.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Let's remind everyone how we can contact you, please.
ParentTalkWithKary.com, or you could email me at Kary Valdes, LCSW@gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Pleasure getting to know you and looking forward to the next time we get to connect. And I would love to hear some, stories, of course, patient confidentiality, but of the families you're helping and, talking about some of the situations that can really resonate with others, could get their mind sparking, maybe the help that they need to help, better parenting or to help their child in whatever struggle there is.
Right. That would be awesome. Thank you so much, Jill, for having me.
Pleasure having you here. Excited about this. And I hope you enjoy your day. Thanks so much.
You too.
Bye-bye. To all of our listeners and viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Gotta get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.